Detective Comics 963, James Tynion IV, and Christopher Sebela writing. Tynion plotted, but Sebela actually did the script, and Carmen Nunez Carnero on art. The last name there was on a new line. I read two and I was like, nah, I'm quite satisfied. Two names is pretty normal, but those are all them. So yeah, this was what I would assume is a two-part little story, because obviously we have the In the Lonely Place of Living beginning next month. So this is we go back to Stephanie, who met Anarchy in her last little sort of one-er that we did before the last arc. We catch back up with that stuff. There's a little bit of other stuff as well, some Clayface stuff and Batman kind of like stalking, or well, maybe stalking's a bit harsh, but
keeping an eye on her,
keeping an eye on Stephanie from afar,
tracking.
And I feel like I can sort of tell what the emotional beat's going to be at the end of the next issue. You know, presumably Batman is going to tell Stephanie that Tim's still alive, and that's going to probably be quite emotional, because I think one of the most touching moments of this series so far was after Tim, quote unquote, died, was their hug after it. So how she'll take that information, especially when he's likely going to bust in and stop whatever Anarchy's doing to some degree. Like how she'll take that and how that'll affect how she's processing things. But yeah, so Anarchy, they're basically stopping causing some chaos in the Monster Town, which is the sort of where the remains of the Monster Men.
I like that we have a new area of Gotham now.
That's pretty cool.
Me too.
I like it. In fact, that's what Clayface is up to. He's in the sewers, like collecting some mutant monsters who have developed because of some of the remains that have been kicking around. And he basically captures them by like Clayfacing around them, and then just sort of brings them in his body.
That's stuck inside him. Yeah.
Well, we saw that in War of Jokes and Riddles when he brought in, who is it, Kite Man?
Oh, true.
Yeah.
It's weirder though when it's like tentacles and shit that are like.
That's it. Kite Man was more like fully enveloped around, whereas this is just they're just they'll just stick in there.
The Kite Man one was a lot more like when Batman used them as a mech suit.
Yeah.
See, with that one, it was more like he was taking a cape and wrapping it around, whereas here it's just kind of sticking them into a pile of glue and just pulling them out.
Pulling them up, yeah. But I liked some of like his remorse, because he's like, you guys didn't have any choice in this. Kind of like he's connecting with them. And then that tapeworm creature comes at him. That was pretty creepy. Yeah. And he takes his frustrations out on that one a little bit more. He's been such a great character, Clayface, in this. And I just, if he has a break, it's going to hurt me.
You mentioned you mentioned creepy. There's a really creepy moment when he's talking to Victoria, her name is, I think, the scientist, where she says you have to face things, and he like turns his head round, Exorcist style, to talk to her.
Yeah. Well, see, I like to think he just morphed it through the back.
Oh, to be fair, that's probably what he did. But it's just because it's a panel and we don't see the motion. It just looked very Exorcisty to me. I could just see Linda Blair's head turned round. But it was a nice touch. So that was that, and so Anarchy basically takes Steph. He's like, okay, you're ready to see what I've been working on, and he eventually takes off his mask as well, because she's sort of like giving him shit for like not showing who he is, because she's kind of trusted him, so he has to return the favour. And there's some nice beats here, because he's taking her into the subway tunnels that were abandoned, and he's explaining that, oh yeah, these are all abandoned, and I bet you'll never guess why. And then she tells him exactly why, because we had Tim have this exact conversation with her in the first arc. Which, to their credit, I remember. So they planted that well enough that, because this could have very easily been something that we'd forgotten, but they made it very distinct when they told us it the first time that it was completely memorable.
It's also to do with, it was part of the forming of their base, that story of when when we got about all the Belfry and stuff. So it was like, it feels like it's an integral part of their home, like their story. So it's more memorable because of that.
Yeah. So he basically takes it. He's got like an underground kind of sort of like farm / like a
refugee camp.
Refugee camp,
like a commune kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're growing stuff too, and
it's basically just a little society that he's developing for the disenfranchised, I suppose.
With Anarchy here, he feels like such a generic. Like, he's not exactly a villain. He's kind of an anti-hero, but I wasn't connecting with him until he got to his whole anarchy is not like breaking down things. It's taking the power and giving it to the people and taking out the system, which is the complete opposite of what kind of Tim and Stephanie were talking about in the beginning. Where Tim's like, oh no, I'm gonna help make this better.
Yeah,
work in the system. He's an engineer that way.
We start with
where he's gonna tinker with it, and Anarchy's just like, well, no, I'm just gonna do it my way.
Yeah, obviously we didn't talk about the flashback. We start the issue with a flashback to presumably just not long before Tim, again, quote unquote, died, right. Because she's talking to him about, oh, you're working up the courage to tell Batman that you're maybe going off to school and that kind of thing. So it's a straight enough scene, and it's sort of like him saying, "Oh no, we're in this together. This isn't a one-man mission. Like, your place is right by my side," kind of thing.
This is the scene I really enjoyed after reading Batwoman, because I was reading it. Like when he's talking about, it's like, oh, we should be doing more.
Yeah.
He's talking about.
I feel a little nervous
because he says
uneasy.
What's the line? He says something about building a utopia, and it's like, that seems like it's going to go badly.
That was it.
Yeah. So.
Well, all that stuff is always. When any like dystopian future in like good sci-fi movies, it always starts with good intentions. Yeah. Like it's never people are just like, oh, I'm gonna take over because I can do it better. It's like, well, this is better for everybody, and I kind of feel it's anarchy as well. Here, the character, not the system or the political philosophy.
I feel like the darker side to like whatever anarchy's doing is going to be revealed next issue though. Like there'll be something about it that makes it bad, that makes it okay. As good as your intentions might be, you're like potentially killing people as a result in some other way, kind of thing. Like I can see that
because he's very much an end justify the means. Like if you have to take out buildings, because that's what we see him do here. Like. As he's what are they? Are they GCPD or no? They're Argus agents, right?
Yeah. Because I think he's holding back because obviously he's in front of Steph, so he's not being lethal in front of her. Yeah. I think he's holding back.
No, but I don't know. You set like mines in abandoned buildings. You got lethal intentions. Like.
Yeah. But I get the impression that he knows that Steph wouldn't approve if he actually went lethal in front of her. So I think he's holding back to again kind of indoctrinate her to his. I've not seen cult-like evidence yet, but I'm getting cult feelings from the way he's sort of bringing her into the fold.
Oh, I definitely feel.
And we all know that I love cult leader villains. Like it's such a good trope, at least for me. So if that's what he's doing, and to put Stephanie against that, who wants to do things her own way, that's her whole arc right now. Yeah, I mean,
my one problem is I don't know if Anarchy is compelling enough to be a cult leader villain that I care about.
Yeah, he's got a commune of people living in the subway tunnels.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's the thing. I'm like, how does this guy do all this? I don't know if I buy it.
That's where the dark side comes in.
Yeah, he's taking some shortcuts.
Yeah. Oh, sure, but I mean. I just don't. I don't buy that he's managed to convince all these people and Steph so easily. It's trying to present him as this real smooth talker. I don't quite buy it.
Oh no, and I feel like we're supposed to not buy it either. Like there's a sheen over there that's not natural.
Yeah,
like he was saying.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed it. That flashback in particular, like the art, because the expressions on their faces, and just like the way that she's filming them. And he gets all worried about it.
Okay. The art didn't wow me in this. This wasn't one of the regular artists in the book. It was. No. I mean, it's fine. Like it didn't bother me, but it wasn't.
I did enjoy it in the flashback, especially I think with the colours. There was one problem I had where there was a point where I had to do a double take. It was when they're in the subway tunnels, and Steph's got the flashlight, but the way it was positioned, I couldn't see it, and it just looked like there was a train car coming towards them.
But I thought so too.
And I had to really look at it to realize.
I was like, well, they just said there's no trains there. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, when I say it's fine. Like, there's nothing about it that felt like it was. There was very few moments where I was looking at it going, oh, that's a really nice image, or that's a really like. But it wasn't bothering me at the same time. It was just kind of standard, I guess, is where I'm coming from.
I liked the flashback stuff more.
Yeah, all the orange clothes worked really nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it sticks out because obviously there's like 2 or 3 regular artists for the book, and I'm kind of used to what their stuff looks like, and it kind of stuck out as just being a little bit bland compared to the style that's usually there. But
see, this is I think how me and Matt felt. You know, when we changed artist in the middle of that the arc with Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we were like, it's fine, but it's just so it's different. It's not one of the regular ones, and it's like that kind of. That's kind of how I feel here. It's like it's fine, but it's not what I expect from the book.
But otherwise, I think the issue was decent. I think I preferred the last Stephanie Brown one more than this one. I think that one had a more sort of defined plot with her, like, you know, going through the news station and like she had people to save, and there was more of a sort of like. Whereas this was more about setting things up. My favourite moment of this show, though, was definitely the panel of like Batman watching from the distance as they're going in the tunnels. It's like you can just feel that he's nervous to actually tell her, and you don't usually get the feeling that Batman's nervous, but I felt he was nervous in that panel.
Right.